Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Christina Charenkova. This is a LinkedIn Live office hour session, and I'm so thrilled that you're here with us, joining us. Today, I have a very interesting guest. And before we launch into the discussion, which is about from business to human transformation using Lean and Six Sigma frameworks and methodology, something that is very close to my experience as a management consultant and to my guest experience. Um, and I'm so thrilled that we get to see how these frameworks and some of these methodologies can be applied to us as humans and see how they can improve our performance at work. Now, let me just quickly say, if you haven't met me before, as I said, I'm Christina Charenkova. I'm a business change coach, and I'm a business transformation consultant and someone that's been in that sort of context in a number of years. I started my career as a management consultant and then transformed that into consultant within industry, working as sort of internal consultancy. And then I formed my own agency. I am really excited to be able to welcome you. Part of what I do and where my passion lies is, of course, change within an organizational context, but also personal change and how we can apply the methodologies that we're using for change when it comes to us as humans and how we can make them work in our favor. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Stephane Thiltgen to this discussion. Stephane, good morning.
Good morning, Christina, and thanks for
Excellent to
inviting me in
have
this
you
discussion.
here.
Thanks a lot. And the thing is, we know each other for many years. We work together at Accenture, and it's part of the reason, and we have common passion in change and transformation. I'm 48 myself. I will introduce myself quickly
Yes,
so you
please.
understand a bit more on
I'd
who
love
you
to
have in
hear
front
it.
of you. So I'm 48 years old. I'm a native Belgian, but I live in Malaysia for 19 years soon. Yes, so it's soon coming to 1/3 of my life here, and it's also part of my transformation journey that I will tell you soon. If I had not moved to Malaysia, I would probably not be doing what I'm doing now. And I think even if you had told me 10 or 15 years ago that I would be a transformation coach in the human side and being an engineer with a business degree, I would have told you, hey, you are not talking about the same person. And there are sometimes circumstances in life that and things that happen that in the end start connecting and then make sense for you and make you change of direction. It's a bit like the story of Steve Jobs at Stanford University when he said he has done many things in his life and he could not connect the dots forwards, but backwards everything made sense. I would say the first part of my career was in management consulting, and I was an expert in lean transformation, Lean Six Sigma, lean transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So and when I moved to Malaysia in 2004, I started working in a small consultancy doing transformation for small, medium-sized companies. Then I moved to bigger ones, corporation like Nestle. I was a lean coordinator in Nestle. And then I moved to Accenture, where we met, I think, 10 or 12, 13 years ago.
And time flies, Stephane. Time flies.
Time flies, yes. But we are still connected, so that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Most of my day, I was doing transformation and applying the lean transformation toolbox. And on the side of that, when I moved to Malaysia in 2004, I started to be exposed to different culture, philosophies, practice that if I had stayed in Europe, I would probably have never heard, or at least not heard so quickly, because I think now it's coming, but the Eastern mindset is coming as well. And I started doing yoga, for example. This is more Western, but doing NLP certification, because I was also really interested of my personal development. And as management consulting, as you know, is a stressful life. I wanted to find I needed things to help me manage the stress and feel better.
Yes.
And I'm a type A, like many consultants. So
Yes.
typically perfectionist, sometimes anxious, always achieving is important. And the fact that I was exposed to this, and I was running in the jungle here in Malaysia, and one of the key things I did when I was in Accenture is Vipassana meditation, which it's a 10-day retreat where you meditate from morning to evening. And this kind of gave me a lot of understanding of myself better. And
Fantastic. Yeah.
I was also connecting the dots between different things I'd done in my life till there, and different element like my running, some breathing training that I'd taken, my NLP, my yoga. And as my day-to-day at work was about analyzing and doing value stream mapping of and understanding the big picture of businesses, I started seeing the human being the same way,
Yeah.
having this holistic view of a human, and seeing that if you really want to improve your personal life, you have to understand how the dot connects and interconnects to make you move in the good direction. I like taking an example in a business with the silo mindset. If you focus only on let's say the production, and you don't have a good marketing, a good sales team, a good maintenance team, you might have a production department that works well, but at the end of the day, the customer doesn't get what he needs when he needs, with the quality he needs. And I saw a lot about that in terms of the different things that I was doing in my life. If I was not interconnecting how I was doing my sports, the way I was breathing, how I was sleeping, what I was eating, and my brain was already kind of wired in a way that I liked interconnecting things, and I spent my I would say personal time on doing the same kind of mind game, I would say, on how I can change my typical practice and things in life for my personal development, to
Yeah.
get the most
Fantastic.
of it and it feel better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Fantastic.
Mhm.
I think, I sort of hear your story, and I know we've been talking about this for a while now, and discussing this LinkedIn Live. And I reflect on my own experience, I suppose, with change management. And, to a certain extent, we learn these frameworks and these methodologies in a work environment, in an organizational environment, in the business context. And always, when it comes to change management, I've always tried to apply the same principles to my personal life. Now, has it always worked? Probably not, because of course, it's not a personal change when we're talking about organizational change management. But a lot of them I have found that they do apply. So I'm really interested to hear then, and specifically about Lean and Six Sigma, and diving into the framework, Stephane, is, what are the aspects that you've taken? And maybe for the folks that are on the stream that are not 100% familiar with these frameworks, maybe you can do a little bit of an explanation of, how does Lean and Six Sigma work together, and what are some of the aspects that you've taken, and then transposition those into, a human aspect, into your own performance.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, first of all, I would say that what I apply here is more on the Lean than the Six Sigma methodology, because Six Sigma is more on the statistic, is more on the specific, complex problems in general. But Lean is first of all is a philosophy of management, and I'm still passionate about this philosophy of management because it's a lot about developing humans and making sure that we create values. And the Lean transformation framework has 5 steps, I would say, and I will describe them, and after that I can give you an analogy of what I do in terms of human transformation. The first one is defining value in the customer's perspective, because it's the customer that define value. So you start with the value from the customer's perspective, and when we are talking about human transformation, the value, it's you are the customer of yourself. So I spend time, but defining what was really the main value for humans. And in the end, I came to the conclusion that energy is the key things. And maybe before starting describing all of them, I will tell the 5 steps, and then I will go deeper. So the value from the customer's perspective is the first. Then defining, in a lean, we call this a value stream mapping. So value stream mapping is mapping from beginning to the end all the steps that are necessary to produce a product or a service, and see where are the value adding, what is really important in terms of what the customers value. And non-value adding, it means that the things that we do but don't add anything, they just cost. It might be time, it might be money, it might be waiting or something like this. And then you have necessary non-value adding. It means that are steps that are not really adding value, but if you don't do them, you will have a problem. And I will go after that to tell you some example on everything.
Fantastic.
So the value stream is the second one. The third one is to make things flow. So it means is when you understand the value stream, is how can you improve the flow to bring the product or the service to your customer as efficiently and effectively as possible. Then the fourth steps is pooling. What we mean is it's the customer that decide when he needs it, how he needs it. So it's you don't produce the service or the product before the pool come from the customer. And the last step is perfection. I mean, it's a name, of course, and I would say nobody can reach perfection, but having always this continuous improvement mindset to do better, faster, and improve your quality. So that you can see it in a product or service environment in a business. Now I want to bring this analogy in how you can apply that, and how I applied it and started seeing it in a human being. So as I mentioned earlier, the value for a human, we are all energy, and there are some studies done by the HeartMath Institute that's more on the health and well-being side, that we have 4 types of energy: physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy, and spiritual energy. And in the end, if you want to, I would say, feel at your best, so it's on the aspect health, well-being, but also perform at your best at your work. If you don't have energy, you will it will not work, right? And I see a lot of people, they see time as their resource, their main resource, but in the end, it's energy is what will make you use the best of your time. So if you have 24 hours in a day and you don't have energy, you might have a lot of time to do your thing, but you will procrastinate. You will not be focused when you need it. You will maybe do things that are not necessary and not important. And at the end of the day, time is definitely an element that you need to manage. But energy is the first thing you need to manage. And that's what I would say in terms of the human value is energy. Then if you think about the value stream for a human, I come to the second step. It's our day. We all have 24 hours. You wake up this morning, you have 24 hours, like I have 24 hours in Malaysia, in Australia, in Belgium, it's the same. But what you do with these 24 hours, you can draw a value stream map with that as well. And I give you the high level, a typical, I would say, standard value stream map. It's you wake up, let's say at 6 or 7 a.m. You have a morning routine or not. So you might meditate, do breath work, do exercise. You might eat a breakfast or not. Some people do fasting, some people do breakfast. You might have to commute to your work or work from home. Then you have your work hours, then lunchtime, maybe you do a nap if you have the opportunity. You work again, then you commute. You understand the key element.
There's like
24 hours. How you will use these hours will define if you are happy with what you have done and if you feel good in your day-to-day. And now to give you example of non-value adding versus value adding, we can take some of these 24 hours, like the sleep time. It's one a little value stream out of the 24 hours value stream. The walking time is also a little value stream out of the big 24 hours value stream. And then you can start defining what's value in all of these value streams. I will take sleep, for example.
Right. So let me just quickly paraphrase for everyone online. So each activity that we do in the day, that forms a part of value stream. that is a value stream. And then you take that value stream, like for example, sleeping or,
Mhm.
going to work or commuting, and then you analyze what value actually adds to your 24 hours.
Exactly. And after
Right.
that, of course, I will bring the element on how everybody is an individual with his personal needs, his
Yeah,
personal
fantastic.
value, purpose, and but
Yep.
I just want to kind of highlight how you
Mm.
can structure it and
Yeah,
describe
fantastic.
what is value adding versus non-value adding. And sleep is an easy example. Maybe not all of you are familiar with sleep, but the foundational element, it's we should sleep, let's say, before 7 to 9 hours. But
Mm.
some people sleep less than that. Definitely, they are in problem already. But let's say that you have 7 to 9 hours. And in sleep, you have different type of sleep. You have the deep sleep, you have the
Yeah.
REM sleep, rapid eye
Yeah.
movement, you have the light sleep, and you might be also awake during night because you have insomnia and all of that. So, and the science says that the people who are really energized and happy, healthy, they have an amount of 40 to 45% of total deep sleep combined with REM sleep. So
Okay.
light sleep, you cannot suppress it. It's if you sleep, let's say 8 hours, and you have 3.5 hours of REM and deep, it's good.
Yeah.
That's great. But you might sleep 8 hours and have 1 hour of deep sleep and 45 minutes of REM. And then you have the value adding, which is deep sleep and REM, is too low because
Yeah.
if you don't have enough deep and enough REM, it will impact the day, the energy you will have during your day. It will impact your recovery time during your day. It will impact your exercise and
Yeah. Right.
your body reparation. It will impact your maybe the cravings that you will have for food if you don't have enough
Mm.
quality sleep. You understand the mechanism, right?
Yeah,
So
I do understand the mechanism. What I want to maybe clarify is how do you assign value to it? Like, do you assign a metric to it, or like, how do you
yeah,
know? You just, how, is it some sort of quantifiable value, or are we talking a bit
yes,
more nebulous?
this is it depends of the people and this
Right,
value stream in general. I don't share that to my participant clients. It's more for me.
right, okay,
The way I collect that is I have some question, I have some
yeah,
diagnostic where I can first have their view,
questionnaire,
and then I
quite a
can see what are
comprehensive
already the
questionnaire.
key
Yep.
points. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, by the
Yep.
questionnaire, the diagnostic, I will know they have a problem of sleep. After that,
Right.
depending of the people, if they have wearables, some people are hermetic to measuring the everything, so we find another way. But it's I will find a way to, in my transformation journey with them, to, if I know that sleep is an issue, that's definitely one of the value stream that I will
Mm.
focus on. But
Right.
coming to what the other one, it's I know also that thinking about the interconnection, if you lack
Yeah.
deep sleep and REM sleep, but maybe it's because you don't exercise enough, and maybe it's because you exercise in too high intensity and you don't recover enough, then it
Yeah.
impacts
Okay.
your sleep. And
Okay.
that's where also my knowledge of things and having a full view of their different areas allows me to understand
Right.
what could be some of the potential root cause. And that's also
Yeah.
from
Okay.
lean. When you do lean Six Sigma, you do root cause analysis all the time, so you try to understand what brings the
Mm.
symptoms, and
Yeah.
maybe the root cause
Fantastic.
is far away from the symptom, right?
Fantastic. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so when people come on board with your program or with your coaching, they go through quite a comprehensive assessment, I suppose,
Yes.
a
Mhm.
questionnaire of sorts, and then you sit down and have a conversation with them, and you mentally, if you like, map out their different value streams. So, like, you
Mhm.
go through the second step of the process, not necessarily for them to understand that that's part of lean, but more for you as a
Exactly.
framework stepping through the methodology. Okay, fantastic.
Of course, if I talk to somebody I know is familiar with lean,
Yeah,
I will definitely mention it because it will
yeah,
be an area of
yeah,
interest, common interest. But else, people don't need to know. It's more like a back, uh, like a back office work on my own to
yeah,
have this view, okay, and this holistic view of, okay, that's element.
yeah,
And maybe
fantastic.
for work, I give you an example because I talk about sleep. Just to give you another one, when you have your work day, we also work in cycles. It's like during the night, in the night you have 4 to 5 cycles of sleep. During the day, you have also some period of the day that you need to be focused, and some period where you need to recover. And the thing is, you cannot work from 9 to 5, let's say, trying to be always focused. Then your energy will just go down, and you will have a problem. And for there, what I would say, for me, what's value adding, it's when you are focused. But to be focused, you need to add sometimes some necessary non-value adding, and they can sometimes be value adding as well. It means that taking a break and maybe go for a walk, and maybe do a few breath work for a few minutes, or maybe do a meditation. And it can be purely seen as a non-value adding, necessary non-value adding, because you don't produce anything in that time, but it will help you to produce overall better. And even sometimes you might have some good ideas, be creative. And during the time that you allow your brain to relax, things that you are not able to manage or find when you are working because you are in the concentration state, they might pick up on you, and then you can even define it as a value adding and not a necessary non-value adding. Does it make sense?
Yeah, completely get it. Perhaps we can move on to the third step in the process. I know we've spent a bit of time on the second step.
That was already the part of the second and the third. It's when you have defined the different, like you understand, okay, this person, they sleep, they have a morning routine, but they don't exercise, or they exercise in this way. They eat, but they eat that kind of food. So then we need to be careful. Okay, probably too high. Let's say refined carbohydrates. Then you see, and you're able to define value adding, non-value adding, and necessary non-value adding. And there, it's how you will help them. That's the next step. It's what can we do? And I have different modules in my program. All the modules are there, but how I need to orient my modules to help decreasing the necessary non-value adding, because even if that's necessary, we might still be able to decrease the duration, and avoiding or removing, or at least also eliminating the maximum of the non-value adding, and transform them in value adding.
Fantastic.
Like, for example, I take a person who is spending maybe 8 hours a week, but overall it's 2 hours on Facebook, distracted, and ruminating about negative ideas.
That never happens.
And again, we are human. It's also something I want to say. It's, myself, I sometimes procrastinate.
Of course.
It's also not expecting that. We'll talk about that later as well. But it's at least have an element that we are aware of where we are wasting time. And when you gain in energy, because I was talking, the value is energy. So if you sleep better, if you use better your focus time versus recovery time, if you find good morning routines, if you eat the right food for you type of person and all of that, overall your physical, mental, emotional will grow and will harmonize. And then you will start noticing that, hey, in place of spending 2 hours on Facebook, I spend maybe 45 or half an hour. Also, I regain time, and I can go for a walk at the end of my day, because I'm able to do my job in a shorter time. And when I do my walk, I feel I sleep better after. You understand the key element, right?
Yeah, it's all interconnected, I suppose.
Exactly.
And I think that's what makes it interesting, right? Because it's kind of like a zero-sum game. So you take energy from one space, but you put it into something else, and therefore you can be more productive, more present, more efficient, and so on. So I think that holds true in any context.
Sorry, I stopped you there, Christina. I just want to add it. Also, I noticed people, there is, like my program I call Tao, for the reason of the yin and the yang. And energy, a lot of people see energy as only the action, but there is energy of recovery as well. That's where when you take and you become calmer, it's another form of energy and you need to go through this cycle of pumped energy, where you have the adrenaline, the cortisol, so the stress element. That's the yang, typically the action. And then you need to go through calm energy, where you are more in a contemplative state, where you allow your body to tell you things from yourself. You allow your emotion to come up. and it's by going through these yin and yang cycles that in the end you overall health and well-being energy is positive.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that, Stephane.
Sorry.
I wanted to go back a little bit, a couple of steps back, and talk about non-value add, and how would you go about identifying non-value add? Now, we know that perhaps social media is one of those, and spending more time on social media, but what about, things that we do at work? How would, do you apply a uniform blanket, like a definition of what a non-value add is, or do you discuss that with your clients and you come up with the definition that works for them? Like how would it work in practice?
I don't go to that level of, I mean, of course, I understand what's based on the objective of the program,
Right.
and their specific issue. We will define. I have some people, they come to me not because they cannot manage so much their day, but you, and for them, I mean, they it's also some type of job, for example, might be that it's more repetitive, and then in the end of the day, you don't need so much creativity inside it. So the creativity is something that often come when you take some breaks and all that. If you have a job that is kind of stable, you might need less breaks, and maybe what I would say a necessary non-value adding in a creative job will not be so important in another one. And again, on that, I didn't go to the level of saying, okay, we have a definition. It's more intuitive and more going through the program, seeing what the people tell me in terms of, okay, now I feel my day is better. And I doesn't go to the level of measurement on that. It stay approximative in the end, except when we have wearables that can measure, for example, the sleep. And even there is a uncertainty in the precision of the measurement. The Oura Ring, for example, is better than the watch. But okay. Does it answer your question, Christina?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you for that. Now, I know in some of our discussions, you've referred to effortless working. And I'm sure there's so many people out there, management consultants, business thinkers, people that are in, high pressure positions, team leads that want to enable their teams to do effortless working. I think everyone would be interested in how do we achieve effortless working? What do you mean by effortless working, and how can people, the $1 million question, how can people get to that with some practical tips from you?
And for me, effortless working is the same word to say to be in the flow state. When you are in the flow, and when you are in the flow, you are at your best and you perform at your best. So it's a state where your cognitive performance are high, your creativity, your intuition, you are really performing as an athlete, a musician, or at work, and you feel great as well. It's you have the smile on your face, and you don't see the time going and all that. So what I call effortless working, it's when you are in a state where you are totally in your zone, when you are focused, when you are able to you have the best of both worlds. It's also a state coming on the yin and the yang. It's where you're in the same time not too tense, that in the end you are stressed, but not too relaxed, that in the end you are not present with what you do, and you are more procrastinating, and you need that. And one thing that you need to know is you can never be always in the effortless state. You have there is a flow. In the flow, there is a cycle, and there are different steps. And I give you quickly the 4 steps. It's struggle. It means that you need first to stay with a task for enough time to be able to be present with it. And if you don't go through the struggle phase, you will never be able to reach the point where you need the release to allow your brain to recover a bit. Then you have the flow, and that's where I happen the flow. It's when you have, let's say you struggle on something, an important piece of work, and then you take a break for 5 minutes or 2 minutes. You do breath work, meditation, walk, or whatever, cold shower, or I don't know. And what happens is the fact that you allow your brain to relax a bit, some connection happen. And then you start working again, and you restart a focus period, but there for 45 minutes, 1 hour, you are it goes well. But the flow is a really high energy consumption state as well. So that's why when you reach the flow for a certain time, you need to recover. And that's why many people don't reach this effortless state, is for a few reasons. The first one is the fact that they try to work from morning to evening and don't take breaks enough, at least, or don't breathe properly. And they have their phone on, and so then they start working on something, and interesting. Okay, we restart working. You never give the opportunity of your brain to be present enough, and that's where mindfulness is also an enabler of being in the flow state. It's that it allows you to go through this struggle and you're able to continue doing things that you don't want to do maybe too much at the beginning. It's the same in exercise. It's when you start, there is always the 5 first minutes that generally are difficult for many people. And when you go through that, you find that, okay, it's now the constraints are not there anymore. At least they release. And so you have that. It's the being able to struggle enough. Second thing is recover. If you never take breaks, and a lot of people with the no pain, no gain mindset, they feel that taking a break will make them lose productivity, right? Correct?
I think, it's an interesting question, I think, because, people have, I suppose, their own motivations, whether that's to get promoted or to get further up. Like we know in management consulting, the learning curve is very steep, and a lot of the time we end up working long hours. And we strive for perfection, but also I think it's the expectation of sometimes the employers that employees and people reach further and put in more hours and deliver more. So I think people seem to understand, and organizations seem to understand a lot better now what is well-being and how do we enable well-being. But I think we need more people like yourself, someone that's been in a high-paced position, someone that's gone and chased their tail, for a better saying, for the 24 hours that we have, and worked around the clock and achieved a lot. And then at the end of the day, it's like, how does that make us feel? Like, does it make us feel like achievers, or does it completely deplete our energy and we don't give it enough time to regenerate, if you like? And going back to your previous point on the flow, I agree to an extent, actually. When people seem to be very focused on something, myself included, I think I do get into the flow, but I don't give myself time to read it, to rest, and then to give, step away, like you say, take a short walk or whatever it is. We are so busy these days. Everything is competing for our time and attention. I think these are the two biggest commodities of nowadays. So time and attention. And like you say, it's our phone, it's our kids, it's our friends, it's something happened at work. Something has a sale on, everything. It's a bit crazy. So if you can do a few practical tips for people that take away today, what would be your top 2 tips that people can take away and go, okay, this is something that I can implement. It doesn't take me too much time. It doesn't take me too much energy. It's something that's completely doable. And I'm not just doing it because I'm either not aware of it, or I'm aware and I'm a bit skeptical of doing it.
But I will answer definitely the tips, but I would like also to come back a step, back on what you just said. Now, again, I know being in the flow all the day, it's unrealistic. And as I said, first of all, because you have this cycle. Secondly, because we have all our constraints, all our children, and some tasks. Sometimes you need to be there. Like I'm coaching people. I have some period of the day where I'm WhatsApping and asking, okay, how is it going? I send articles. And on that period, I do more blocks. It's like, and I know also based on how I work, I'm a morning person. So if I need to do focused work, I will do it more first on the first part of my day, the morning. I do the talk now with you, but after that, generally, I have coaching in the morning, and then I do the at 10 a.m. Generally, I finish my coaching, and then from 10 to 12, it's a flow block for me where I will work on my online course or my marketing strategy for the coming weeks or something like this. And then in the afternoon, I will probably just after the lunch, I will sometime I do a nap if I have the opportunity, because it gives you a peak, and then
you're a lucky man. I tell you that.
Yeah, I know I'm lucky for that. That's the privilege of being a solopreneur sometimes. Definitely, and I agree on that. It's not always possible, but after that, I spend generally my afternoon time having meetings with new people, networking, and doing some of the lower energy demanding activities where I'm not in the flow, and I'm more going with what's coming, and that's important to understand. It's everybody works differently, has a different type of job, different types of personality, different types of what we call the chronotypes. Some people are more from the morning, some people from the evening, and all of that needs to be included in it. Hope that clarify on don't myself. I'm not spending 8 hours in the flow. It's generally I have blocks of 2-3 hours maximum, and the rest is still doing tasks and being focused, but not being at the state of flow. Okay. So to come back to your question about some practical tips. They are, and I will try my best to give you here tips that you don't need to add anything in your life. It's something that you just need to organize yourself or be aware of this, and then implement it in your day-to-day. And the first one that I see that a lot of people, they consider that work is sitting. I don't know how many of you are sitting at the moment, for example.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, we are, and I don't have the time here. I can talk a lot about it, but if you don't move regularly your body, we are you think 99% of our human evolution, we've been moving most of the day because we're hunter-gatherer, and it was not a sedentary lifestyle. Now we are like, it's a bit like during 364 days of the year, you are moving, and then the last day of the year you say, oh, I sit. I exaggerate a bit, but we cannot forget about our biology, right? It's a biological need, and if you want to be healthy, happy, and productive, you need to give to your biology what it needs, and part of it is to move regularly. So I would say, in place of sitting when you walk during your work day, find alternatives. Like now, you see, I have a stand-up desk. Okay, you don't need to buy that. You can go up, down. Before I bought that stand-up desk, I was working on the counter, the counter of my kitchen, where it's elevated. And when my children were at school, I was using that. I was using an exercise ball, and just changing of posture, and even walking. I see a lot of people, they don't take phone calls when they could be walking. I don't say that all of them you can. You might be on a call where you need the screen, you need your slides, but there are maybe some calls that you just need to talk to the person, and that could be done when you are walking to the playground, and then you increase your movement. And they have done some studies that we often overvalued exercise. Of course, exercise is important, and we undervalue the importance of moving regularly our body. And we have done some studies on the premature death rate, like heart attack, also diabetes. You become more resistant to insulin, but also the cognitive element. When you stand like this, you have more energy, and your brain works better than when you sit. And typically when you sit, we have our shoulder. I don't say everybody, but we tend to roll the shoulder. The fact that we break, the lungs are not in an open state. So you oxygenate less your brain. You have also all the back pain, lower back pain, shoulder pain, tension in the neck. And I'll just give you a few. So, and in place of seeing you walk as when I walk, I sit, why not seeing it? Okay, let's try to do 25% of walking, 25% of sitting, and try to change my sitting, maybe have a different seat, different way of sitting, and 25% of standing. If you don't have a stand-up desk, you can just put some books and be
fantastic.
creative or something. That in the end, you can stand up and you will see your energy level. Of course, maybe having a reminder on your phone or on your computer first to say, okay, after half an hour, 45, let's say 45 minutes, stand up and change
move position.
And I was talking about the flow as well earlier, and they have done some study that when you change regularly of place where you walk, it helps to bring diversity, and the brain like diversity, so you enter more easily in the flow state when you have the diversity than when you stay always at the same desk, same time, same position.
Okay.
So
I think that's something that people can easily do. I think it will be depending on the type of job that you do, right? So some people can step away from their desk and take a phone call, but not everyone, depending on the type of work that you do. But I think what you say is try to change your position, try to go for a short walk, and move regularly rather than, sit down for 8 hours doing work, eating your lunch at your desk.
And you see that's my office, like here. I have I don't know if you see, it's a pool bar.
Yeah, we see it. Fantastic.
The first thing is, as you see it, I close the door because my wife has maybe. When you have this pool bar, just the fact that you see it, sometimes you just do 1 or 2 pull-up, and
that gets your energy
so that's,
going.
I have also my yoga mat here.
Nice.
I mean, you don't need to go to the point I want to make is, if you change your environment, that's another tip that I give. It's not so easy when you are at the office, but I guess some of the people in the call are working from home sometimes. So then it might be easier to change your environment, just to make your environment helping you to move more regularly or do a variety of movements. It might be also in your kitchen, in place of having the stuff that you need regularly, they have just there next to your hands. You put it in a shelf higher, and it forces you to. I would like to say, be creative to increase the movement and changing your environment. So I was saying about sitting is not mandatory for walking, but also how can you adapt the way you walk to increase, and what we call that, the scientific term is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So it's whatever you do that is not purely exercise, and that you can modify in your organization in your day-to-day to make you move better and move more and with various movements, and then help your biology to feel better.
Now, I know actually of a few organizations that have started employing this, and they've asked people to actually, when there's a call, sometimes there's all these all-team catch-ups, and we all get on the phone and it's like, oh, how's it going? And it's lovely to hear from everyone, but you don't need to be at your desk. So a lot of the times when I've worked on these clients, they're like, step outside, take the call from anywhere, walk to your nearest coffee shop, grab a coffee, and you can still be on a call catching up with work colleagues. So I think that's lovely. I think that's something that not only a few organizations should be doing, but everyone should be doing. Did you have a second tip for us?
Yes, the next one, it will seem simple and too good to be true, but it's simply about how you breathe and
how you breathe. Okay.
How you breathe. And due to the current situation with stress, fast pace and all that, a lot of people automatically they breathe by the mouth in place of inhaling by the nose. So maybe, I'm sure everybody is checking at the moment, am I breathing by the mouth?
How do I breathe? Am I breathing right?
And nasal breathing is normally the natural way of breathing, at the exception when you have a stressful situation, when you have a sprint, and then you cannot generate enough oxygen, so you need, and breathing by the nose is more effective. But in an evolutionary perspective, breathing by the nose should be only in a few situations, in a short percentage of your time during your day, or when your nose is blocked, like a secondary option. And I love, there is a free diver, Stig Sørensen, who is the guy who stays 20 minutes under the water. And he says, mouth is for eating, nose is for breathing. And it's for so many people, the mouth has become the automatic way of breathing as well as eating. And part of it is also linked to the processed food, that the fact we eat too much processed food, you need to have more water, and the fact that you breathe by the mouth bring because your mouth is too dry when you don't. It's another. There are many different elements. And why nasal breathing will help? One of the elements is you generate a gas that is called nitrogen oxide or oxide. And this nitrogen oxide helps during the transfer from the lungs to the blood, to the cell of the blood, to improve the absorption of the oxygen by the cells. And when you breathe by the mouth, you don't have that. And what does it do? Because you need oxygen to burn fat, it helps you to burn fat as your main energy, or at least increasing the amount of fat in place of depending on sugar. And sugar should be a short-term energy, and an energy that we have in limited amount. But when you are not able to bring enough of your energy from fat, you need to use more quickly sugar as well. It helps to improve your ability of using your fat burning metabolism. So there are benefits in exercise, long distance running and exercising, but only for your day to day, it will help you already to use the fat burning metabolism. Second thing, it is proven that you are more present in your brain and more relaxed in your brain when you breathe by the nose. And so there you have less easily the mental fog.
I'm doing it.
But by the way, for some people who have not done nasal breathing for a while, at the beginning the nose might be blocked, and it takes a while to readapt and have the nasal wall that readapt for that. So no worries. And even some people, they put some. I did it. My wife was laughing about me when I did that at one point to see if during my night I was sleeping by the nose automatically or not. So you put a tape like a 3M, and at the beginning it's uncomfortable, but it forces you to breathe by the nose. And no worries, you will not die if you have not enough oxygen. You will just wake up. But I never woke up, and I noticed that my numbers in terms of my deep sleep and my REM sleep were higher and no, I don't do it all the time. I was doing it.
That's a good tip.
A good tip as well.
Great tip. Yeah. Now we have sorry, go ahead. We have a good question from the audience, but go ahead before I show the question.
Yeah, I wanted to say also, when you exercise, it's also endurance should not be doing mouth breathing. Of course, if you sprint, yes. Right. But when you do, most of the time, when you exercise also for the benefits for health and well-being, we should be in low to moderate heart rate zone. And for many reasons, people exercise too high in intensity because they are too sedentary, not enough fitness. So they are okay. I don't want to enter too much in the details, but it also helps to force yourself to not go too high in intensity. And and you notice at the beginning, you might even need to, if you run, slow down. If you walk, or maybe walking at the beginning. But when you become adapted to it, you start going faster and switching from walking to running while still being able to breathe by the nose. So that's a sign that you are improving your foundational fitness. Okay, and also you filter pollution. The last one I want to say, you filter pollution.
Yeah. So just to summarize, the two tips were try to move during the day. So switch position every so often, every 45 minutes or so, go for a walk, try to do a quick meditation. And the second one was assess your breathing. Make sure you're breathing through the nose as much as you can, because that does affect your performance and it does affect your mental ability.
Yes. And I would adapt your environment. Maybe it's a third tip or combined with the first one. If you can adapt your work environment or your home environment to increase the number of movement and the variety of movement.
It's a good segue actually into the question. So I'll just put it on screen. We've got a question from Samantha. Thank you very much, Samantha, for joining us. So lovely to see you. I do know Samantha. Sam says, I wonder what advice you have for inserting this approach as a cultural change across more traditional organizations. That is traditional for us in the United States, corporate workers. How would you get managers on board with integrating this? And it's a good question when it comes to cultural change, because you're a Belgian working in Kuala Lumpur, working with international organizations. So how do you see this map out in the type of work that you do? How can managers encourage it?
No, the first thing, and I do myself a lot of one-on-one and short teams, little teams by itself, where we go deep. And I'm talking now for some bigger group program, and on that, it's like a change transformation, because when you have a small groups, they are already willing to do what you are doing with them. So they come to you because, okay, I have this problem and I want this to change. When you do that I would say you want them to be willing to do it, and some of them are feel that they are forced to do it, and that's one of the things is already, it's to start like you would do a change program on having some people influencer and talking. If you don't have the top management already who believes on it, I got a few discussion now with people where they ask me, and what I noticed is they wanted to, what I would call wellness washing, like you do greenwashing. For me, when just because it's the corporate social responsibility asks them to do something, then okay, they are willing to spend a little bit of money, but okay, don't want to invest too much. Then you will not be able to do anything yet. So the first thing is, if the top management is already buying it, then having some of the key stakeholders in different departments who are already healthy and exercise, or are in favor of helping others, and finding these people to talk to them and present them already the approach that you want to bring, and also start walking the talk, training them first with what, if they are willing to do it, and then you can go. And when you have because it's this manager that will help also to spread the good work, showing also that they have improved, and then you can go down.
Yeah, if I can take sort of a change management approach to it, maybe to add a little bit to what you just said, Stephane, and to build on it. It kind of starts with education, I suppose. People need to know about it, enough about it, to and be on board with it before they can start doing it. So, first maybe, if that is possible in that organizational context, with the question that we had, is to inform the line managers or the leaders of the organization, what are some of the benefits, what would that create in terms of effectiveness for the people, and their mental state and their engagement with work. Because I think it's proven that, if you feel like your organization is looking after your well-being, you'll be more engaged at work. So if they understand that, then it's kind of picking out the ones that are your change agents, I suppose. The people that have really bought into the subject, into the topic, and are likely to take it further. And what I mean by further is likely to take it to their teams, likely to take it to their peers, and then show the results. So what sometimes, Stephane, you've probably been part of these transition projects, but what we do as part of business transition is, do a pilot, and then see what the results are like for that particular pilot group, or for that particular little niche pocket of the organization, and then go bigger. So it could be that you start working with smaller teams, and then that can grow into a much broader, we're talking departments, or we're talking a full organizational kind of sweep. Very interesting.
And thanks for the addition.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, in the interest of time, I know we're having lots of fun here, and it's so good to hear how we can apply these methodologies into our personal work. But in the interest of time, I know you've got the taolifestyle.com. The website is on the screen for everyone to come
Yes,
and
on the
find you
menu.
if they need to.
Next to
Now,
you.
tell us a little about the programs that you do, and how can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so in terms of the program, I have the main one, because again, I can customize this and personalize if it's bigger groups. But the main one is Tao of Running and Tao of Peak Performance. Tao of Running is a program that is the main element are incorporating mindfulness inside your running and having supporting element about nutrition and sleep. But the idea is to exercise and having the benefits for your body while having the rejuvenation of the mind. So you, as we say, kill two birds with one bullet. So it's for people who say, I don't have time to meditate and exercise. And also when you start implementing that, you have more ideas, creativity. When you run, you have some element coming inside from the inside to the outside. So it's a program for people who are interested about learning how to run to avoid injuries and feel good. Not so focused on performance, but more on connecting mind and body through running. And the second one is the Tao of Peak Performance, which can integrate the element of running if we want or not. But this one is more for business persons and having the 4 energy domains that I was mentioning at the beginning, physical, mental, emotional, helping them to redesign their lifestyle based on their specific issue and objective. And working with me, and there are 8 to 11 modules. I modify that and I adapt depending on their needs and the discussion we have and the questionnaire I was mentioning to refine it. And this program, I do them for more one-on-one or small groups, small teams to understand the objective of the small teams. And then for bigger program, I can do and customize it, like doing some awareness talks on the different elements, or specific talk on one element of the health and well-being pillars, or on the holistic approach.
So that's just a question on that. When you do it with bigger groups, and just circling back to the question I had, the question we had, how do you make it happen in organizations that are a bit more conservative? Like, what do you find is the impetus for that organization to get in contact with you? You know, what has initiated that change? Is it the leader that's already on board with your method, or is it some of the people that have heard about that, you know, wellness and looking after ourselves is something that we should do? Like, how does it happen with your real life cases?
My real life case, and I'm trying to go, that's also one of the reasons I'm talking to you. I want to be more global, but it's a lot of people who have done my program on one-on-one. And I'm an expat here. I'm a Westerner in Malaysia. So I have a lot of connection in my network who are CXO or senior partner in management consulting, and they have done my program, and then they want to bring something to their business because they're interested.
Fantastic. So it's the personal experience that kind of makes it real and valuable, and then they want to apply that into an organizational context.
But customize the approach, because of course you cannot do the same level of involvement coaching for a one-on-one person in terms of cost and in terms of time purpose. So we adapt it to make it operationalizable, I would say.
Fantastic.
And so your second part is to find me, as you said, my taolifestyle.com. Then you can see the program. There is individuals, there is businesses program, and you can go through. And I know I like details, so some people say there is too much information. So but you will see, if you are really interested, you will see there is a lot of element that help you understand how it works, the benefits and all of that.
Fantastic. And if people had any questions, or where would people be able to connect with you? Would that be on LinkedIn, or would it be through the website?
My website is possible, but LinkedIn, I post every day of the week, most of it every day of the week, some tips, some science, new science element in terms of health, well-being and brain performance. So you can have some value from there. And I'm on Stephane Thiltgen, And yes, so you can just connect through there, and you can follow me there.
Yeah, fantastic. So, folks, if you're interested in this, if the conversation has sparked a few lights in your mind and you want to follow up, please follow Stephane. He does share daily tips and tricks on how to improve our working lives and some of the things that we can be doing, which doesn't involve much effort or time. And please go and check out taolifestyle.com and you can learn more about the program. Thank you so much, Stephane. I
Thanks a
am
lot,
so
Christina.
thrilled that you spent the time with us to tell us about this and that people can actually do some really practical things to employ those methodologies.
It was a great pleasure for me. And I know I'm sometimes enthusiastic. I hope that you had the ability of stopping me from time to time when I talk too much.
Loved it, Stephane. Loved it. Thank you so much,
Okay.
everyone. Till next time.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.